The Giving Tree is a book a lot of people have read since its release. It is a story about love, specifically the unconditional love between a child and a parent. In the story, the child begins to swing on the tree's branches with joy, and this makes the tree happy. Later in the story, the boy is older and asks the tree for apples for him to sell, because this would make him happy. So this makes the tree happy as well, and the tree gives the boy her apples. Year after year, time after time, the tree keeps giving its utility and eventually itself to the tree until decades have gone by. Now the boy is an old man and he returns to the tree. At this point, the tree has no more branches or apples. The boy has already taken the trunk of the tree, and she is now nothing more than a stump. However, since the boy is old now, all he needs is a place to sit and rest, and so the boy and the tree rest together, and the child leans in his mother's love, and the boy is happy, and the tree is happy. This story reminds me a lot of my parents. My mom has always cared for me so much and always does her best to care for me. She always puts her needs above my own, and I'm so grateful for this. My dad was the best dad ever. When my older sisters were little, if they would have to go to the bus stop every morning before school, sometimes in the winter, in Connecticut, it would freeze outside. My sisters both had coats on, but the bus stop was only 2 or 3 houses away from ours. However, my dad's unconditional love wouldn't let his girls feel an ounce of suffering. He would wake up a half hour early on his few days off of the year, spend 20 minutes heating up his truck to drive my sisters the 1 minute long drive to the bus stop so they wouldn't be cold. Physically, what he did would make someone suffer, but for some reason I can't picture him suffering. The amount of suffering that he would experience technically wasn't worth my sisters what they went through, but he did it anyway. He had a purpose for doing this, his love for his daughters. Suffering ceases to exist once you find meaning in your suffering, and find meaning he did. As Viktor Frankl says, love is the highest aspiration in the human experience, and he loved like no other. I imagine him happy in the cold garage every day, working 14-hour days constantly, choosing to get up early on the only days he didn't have to. Like him, Sisyphus also physically suffered. Sisyphus was a man who, according to his myth, was punished by the gods to push a rock up a mountain for all of eternity. A much worse task, nonetheless, but one must imagine him happy regardless. This is because, again, like my dad, he found meaning in the suffering, so the suffering ceased to exist. I think this is a great outlook for everyone in every situation to have. Suffering in one way or another is inevitable, so spending a life avoiding it is not really a spending a life at all, but a life wasted. Suffering is a concept of the mind, and it can be physically painful no matter how you look at it, but if the pain is worth the reason, then the pain is not necessarily suffering. If someone wants to be the best at something, they train for it. Would you pity their suffering? Of course not. They do it for a purpose that transcends pain, and what greater purpose and what greater meaning than love?